Welcome to the Restricted Handling Podcast's What's Coming Up Next Week in the World. Buckle up, coffee in hand. We're rolling straight into the week ahead from Sunday through Saturday, Pacific Time. And this is not prediction, this is orientation. Calendars, clocks, and known pressure points. We kick off the week in Davos, where the World Economic Forum descends on the Swiss Alps like the geopolitical version of the Met Gala. Fewer outfits, more awkward handshakes. Starting Monday, you'll see heads of state, CEOs, central bankers, and the usual crowd that insists they're here to listen. The theme this year is Dialogue in a Contested World, which is diplomatic shorthand for everyone's mad, but let's talk anyway. Expect big speeches, carefully chosen words, and plenty of side meetings. Ukraine's leadership will be working the room hard, trying to keep Western attention locked in. The U.S. delegation is expected to lay out priorities with a very clear America First accent, and China will send senior representation designed to look calm, stable, and definitely not worried about growth slowing. Spoiler, they are worried. Also on Monday, Beijing releases its fourth quarter and full-year GDP numbers. This is one of those events where everyone pretends not to care, and then everyone immediately cares. China has spent decades selling the image of unstoppable economic momentum. When those numbers soften, and they are expected to, it raises real questions about stimulus, debt, and whether the party can keep delivering prosperity while tightening political control. Historically, when China's growth narrative wobbles, the messaging machine goes into overdrive. Expect reassurances, not admissions. Midweek, attention shifts to Moscow. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov holds his annual press conference, a long-running tradition that dates back to the Soviet-style endurance test. How many hours can one man talk without conceding a single point? This is where Moscow restates its version of reality. Ukraine, NATO, the West, all blamed in familiar cadence. No policy pivots expected here. Think less plot twist, more rerun. Still, analysts listen closely for tone, not substance. When Russia wants to signal escalation or entrenchment, this is one of the places it does it. Thursday marks Ukraine's Unity Day, commemorating the historic unification of the country more than a century ago. In wartime, this holiday carries extra weight. Expect speeches emphasizing resilience, shared sacrifice, and national identity. President Zelensky will almost certainly use the moment to reinforce the message that Ukraine's regions stand together, and that the war hasn't fractured that core idea. Symbolism matters in war, and Ukraine understands that better than most. Also Thursday, we get a decision from the Bank of Japan. This one might sound dry, but it's sneaky important. Japan has been the last major holdout of ultra-loose monetary policy, and every meeting is watched for signs of movement. The expectation is no change this week, but markets will dissect every word from Governor Ueda like it's a Taylor Swift lyric drop. Any hint of future tightening sends ripples through currencies and bond markets far beyond Tokyo. Now, a few things to keep on your radar, even though they're not tied to a specific calendar slot. First, Gaza. Diplomatic discussions around post-conflict governance and security arrangements are continuing in parallel with Davos conversations. If something breaks, it won't be accidental. It'll be intentional and timed. Second, Ukraine military support. NATO allies are under pressure to move faster on air defense and ammunition. Watch for sudden announcements, the kind that land late in the week and quietly matter a lot. Third, Iran. Protests, repression, and international scrutiny are all simmering. The situation is volatile, and it wouldn't take much for diplomatic pressure to harden quickly. And finally, keep an eye toward India. Major European leaders are heading there immediately after the weekends for high-level talks, which means groundwork is being laid now, quietly, off camera. That's the board for the week ahead. No hype, no guessing, just the terrain as it stands. Thanks for riding with us on the Restricted Handling Podcast. Stay sharp, stay curious, and we'll see you on the other side of the week.